please recommend the daily items of food containing protein as well. Means protein dilemma, a very traditional problem for BKs, especially living in foreign countries. So she would be commenting over that.
Om Shanti. Your question is that it has two things. One says that brain cells cannot be replaced, and other says that protein nourishment is very important for brain. Number one, more than proteins, carbohydrates, or rather glucose is required for the nourishment of brain. Brain functioning requires glucose. For the proper functioning of brain, we require sugars, carbohydrates, not proteins as such. Proteins, yes, are required, but proteins are required for the when body has to make new cells, it requires proteins. But once we have completed our growth and development, the body has completed the growth and development, the proteins are not required in that much a quantity as they are required when we are growing. Okay? So these proteins, which we think are required for the nourishment of the brain, are not required for the nourishment of the brain. Rather, glucose is required. So we should have a complex carbohydrate diet during dinner time. Complex carbohydrate meaning that it should contain high fiber. It should have lot of fiber, salads and vegetables in it. I am not saying that it should not have proteins in it. It should have proteins, because our body is every day undergoing a lot of changes. There is a lot of breakdown of cells that is going inside our body, and that require replacement. And these cells are replaced with the help of the proteins that we take in food. So these proteins we get from milk products, nuts, oil seeds, then lentils and pulses. All these give us plenty of proteins that are required for the repair of the cells that are in the body. And most of the time when foreign friends of ours come to me, they ask me that most of the doctors suggest there that animal protein is first class protein rather than vegetable proteins. But rather than animal protein, vegetable protein is first class protein, because any type of protein that is there in the world is made from the plant proteins, because green plants are the only living organisms, living beings in the world that can prepare their own food. The food they prepare is useful for themselves as well as for every living organism in the world. Complex carbohydrates that can give us energy throughout our sleep time, that is about approximately 10 hours of our when we are not eating anything. They are whole grain cereals, like we can have rice, we can have anything made of wheat, oats, pastas. All these come under complex carbohydrates. Then fruits and vegetables also give us plenty of carbohydrates for proper brain functioning. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much. I think a lot can be said about diet, but since the time today which we have is just to comment a little bit from the words of dietitian plus BKs, right? So I think you have got the answer of this question. Next question is addressed to both of our brothers, Dr. Pratapji and Brother Nikhil. Again, I read it as such quickly. I have been in Gyan from 19 years, 18 times to Madhuban, 3 personal meetings with Bab Dada, following pure diet, never broke celibacy, love Amrit Vela, never miss Murli class, but I have been depressed and anxious since birth. I have seen doctors, psychiatrists, psychologists. I have fasted, detoxed. I am in research project, blood tests regularly. I have improved greatly since Gyan. Only Baba can heal my mind. So the question is, are there some omens that you as BK doctors understand I must tolerate until it lifts. I am teaching positive thinking for 4 years. What more can I do? So as BK doctors, question to both of our experienced doctors. You answer then.
It's a very nice and interesting question. If someone has listened to the question, there is a contradiction and an answer within. One line says, I have been depressed and anxious since birth. The other line says, I have improved greatly since Gyan. Only Baba can heal my mind. Okay? At the same time, there is a question related to omens. How many of you believe in omens?
1, 2, 2.5.
Omens.
This is half. This is 1. 3, 4, 5.
May I ask Dr. Pratap also? Do you believe in omens?
Well, there is a good moment for doing everything, but there's nothing like bad moment. But as far as the omens are concerned, I feel, it's one's personal experience. I have no such experience.
Right. I think there is a degree of improvement that you find over the years when you run into Gyan. I'm sure everybody has experienced this. Everybody faces anxiety or depression to an extent at any point of time, including the psychiatrists. But you have to learn the art to master your mind to come out of anxiety and depression. If the brother or the sister who has asked this question is sitting in the audience, I would request him or her to have thorough physical and psychological checkup, number 1. That includes all physical tests, including blood tests and cardiogram, CT scan, EEG. Consult a good physician. Afterwards, consult a good psychiatrist. And as you have already answered in your question itself, that I teach positive thinking.
Keep on teaching.
Now, someone who has learned that art of positive thinking, I'm sure can teach others. So, carry on that activity, and there would be good domain for you.
And our best wishes are with this soul, of course. Yes?
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Next question, of course, it's definitely to Pratap Bhaiji. How to keep a balance in not being lazy and not being overactive? That is involved in action, means embodiment of action. How to save ourselves from laziness or overactiveness.
See, this is something which is very natural with us, that at times we have challenges before us, we have some special service which we need to take up. So we have to be involved in that. But on an average, I personally feel Baba has given us the insight that we need to have 8 hours for ourselves, 8 hours for service, which could be Lokik service. Some of us are doing only Alokik service, and 8 hours for our sleep, rest, nutrition. That is there. That is the balance which we have. But in a question, sometimes I have been even asked this question by people who are not Brahmins, that whether having values or practicing meditation makes us lazy, that we lose interest in certain things and we withdraw ourselves. But I personally feel by inculcating values such as patience and being tolerant and being flexible makes us more efficient and more expeditious, because then we are able to perform our daily actions or daily service in much shorter period. But then we can always take up some creative things which are more fulfilling, which are more interesting. But if the things which we do become more monotonous, then we try to withdraw and we try to become lazy. So if we have something creative to do, we'll be active and we'll be interested to do more. And I'm sure sometimes there may be some physical discomfort or physical difficulty which requires you to take more rest. That is not being lazy. That we need to know from, if we require more rest, we need to take more rest, maybe in periods of sickness or when you're traveling and you didn't have sufficient rest. And we can always be flexible, that's what I feel. Sometimes as doctors we get night calls. I have a discipline that whenever I get up, I would have at least 30 minutes meditation. So even if I get up at about 5 o'clock, the routine is that I'll have meditation. Last night also I woke up at about midnight, so then I could get up only at about 4:45. So I had my meditation and that did my routine. So it's not being lazy, but it is being flexible and adjusting according to the demands of service and demands of our physical health.
Thank you. Another question again is addressed to Sister Sunita. Question is reminding me of one conversation which took place between myself and one of the very big businessmen of India. He came to Shantivan for participating in this, which is called as Heart Project. What is it? Coronary Artery Disease Project. And I was just standing to make a call in Russia, and I was speaking in Russian. So he, when heard it is not English, he got interested and asked, "You are not serving here, you are in Russia. Can I ask you a question?" I thought whether to say yes or not, but then I said, "Yes, you can ask." Then he asked, "Do they ask question in foreign countries or in Russia that milk, because you say you should not have non-veg diet, yes? But do you recommend milk in your diet? Because by some it is also considered, the part of non-veg or something coming from the cows, etc., like this." So I told him that it's better you ask from your doctor because I am in hurry now. So today, Sister Sunita is going to comment. There is a lot of controversies as regarding the intake of milk being a complete food, both in the East and West. Some doctors don't allow or recommend it. Some say it is very beneficial. Please enlighten me.
Om Shanti. This controversy of whether to take milk or not is a very big one, but I'd like to comment on this. It is definitely a beneficial food. It is a complete food rather. It has all the good qualities, excepting for one thing, that is iron. It has all other nutrients in it. What happens is after during childhood we have the enzyme which helps in the digestion of milk, but as we grow this enzyme is used in quantity in our body, and many people do not have this enzyme for the digestion of milk. So sometimes they feel unease or uncomfortable. They feel gas production in their body after taking milk. So for those people who feel uncomfortable after taking milk, they can either take soya milk, or in place they can take yogurt or curds, made out of milk. That will not make them uncomfortable. Otherwise, actually milk is quite beneficial. It has plenty of calcium and proteins which are good for the body. Thank you.
Means it's as doctors, yes, we can.
Yes,
as
you
doctors
can
you
take.
suggest.
Yes,
And
minimum 300 ml to 300 to 400 ml. That means 2 glasses of milk per day.
any additional
I would like to
comment?
add something. One must accept that milk, although is produced by the animals, it's not a non-veg diet. Why? There is a question people ask us. Why don't you consider milk as a veg diet, or why do you consider it as non-veg or veg diet? The medical science says that after the childbirth, the mammals who contain the breast, the mammalians, they start having lactation, and the milk is produced. Now there is so much secretion of milk, or lactation, in other words, that if milk is stored in the breast, it can cause infection, it can cause inflammation. It needs to be taken out, it needs to be drained out. Especially the cows and buffaloes, you need to milk out the excess milk, unless otherwise it will cause infection in the breast, in the you call adults, yeah, and that can lead to septicemia or infection to the whole body, and the animal can die of it. So milk has to be taken out, and as Sister Sunita said, there's a lot of dietary and nutritional benefits in it. But we psychiatrists also say something more about milk. It contains tryptophan, serotonin, and many more essential amino acids, which are antidepressant, which are naturally sedative. It produces good natural sleep when you take milk, especially at night time. Again, it's a very rich source of calcium, as she said, which keeps your bones healthy, strong. So one should not hesitate taking milk, or one should not try to avoid milk or milk products. At the same time, someone who has already left milk, I would recommend to start taking milk gradually. Start with little amount, then increase it gradually. You won't have indigestion or gas formation. You will easily tolerate it, digest it, and you will have all good benefits of milk.
No difference which time, morning, evening, when?
You can take it any time, but milk taken at night time produces good sleep.
Yes, I also wanted to add this, that milk taken at night time produces good sleep, and people who have constipation, it helps in relieving, it helps in the bowel movements, and easily you can clean the stomach. Thank you.
It's a myth that milk causes sinus problem. There is only one cause of sinus problem or infections, cold and coryza. It's only pollution, dust, fumes.
Question was
There's
that
no other food stuff which is related to cold, coryza or sinus problem.
Yes, if we have cholesterol problem, or we are overweight, we have more than required weight, then we should remove the cream. And actually after a certain age, we should avoid taking cream as far as possible. So we can have skimmed milk.
yes, if you have question, you just come and take the mic. Yes, brother.
Sister, here you have no problems, like doctor said, there is no problem for even asthma patients if they take hot milk without sugar. No sugar, please, to be added to milk at night when you are taking it.
Okay, just there is one suggestion. If while listening the answer, you have any question related to that, you should come to the mic. Yes, you also come. if it is related to this. Yes.
I use goat's milk because they said the problem, what you said about the lactose, and they said that finishes, and it's very well for me, goat's milk.
Actually, all milk, every milk will have lactose. So you will, whether you take goat's milk or you take cow's milk, it is just the same. Only thing, you can take it in the form of yogurt, or you take it at night, because at night we have plenty of time for the milk to get digested. We definitely have other enzymes in the body which can help in the digestion of milk. Okay, it's not, we don't have the lactase, that is the enzyme that digests milk, but we have pepsinogen which digest other proteins in the milk. Okay.
Do you have the same, connected to the same? And she was asking, maybe you heard, if I am asthma patient, then also can I take? You heard?
I answered.
Okay.
You spoke briefly about lactose intolerance. I've experienced. I grew up drinking gallons and gallons of milk, but over the last literally few years, every time I take milk, my nose flares up. We didn't know what it was about. I cut out a lot of aspects of my diet. We have semi-skimmed milk, so there's very little fat. But the observation is once I take milk, straight away the nose flares up, or dairy products. So it's been suggested to eliminate that from the diet.
Yeah, I accept that there may be few who are allergic to lactose or milk. As everybody in this world is allergic to something, either one foodstuff or the other. Probably you are allergic to milk. So it's good that you avoid milk, but it's not recommended for everyone that everyone should avoid taking milk for that reason.
You can have soya milk for that matter. You can have soya milk. Okay.
Okay, next question to Brother Nikhil, Dr. Nikhil. Sometimes concentration seems difficult as the mind travels too fast. And is it possible to catch the concentration or mind? It's not mentioned. Means one and the same thing. Yes.
Yeah, we psychiatrists usually recommend to have good concentration and attention. At the same time, good memory. We label it as cognitive functions of mind. It's true that if the pace of thinking is too fast or too slow, you're bound to have impaired concentration or attention. So it's good to have a reasonable pace of your thinking so as to have appropriate attention, concentration, and memory.
Thank you very much. Then one question has a relation with that situation which generally comes in front of the BK sisters, teachers living at centers, because everyone comes and asks about their sicknesses. So I am a teacher, and many students who have chronic diseases, for example cancer, come to ask for health recommendations. How can we use Baba's knowledge to help them overcome pain or fear of death?
Well, we are all empowered souls, and through the knowledge we know that diseases or sicknesses not only come to us because of our faulty lifestyle, but sometimes they come to us because of our past karmic accounts. If the sickness comes, we should be able to take it as a challenge. I would share one experience. Once I had a simple accident. I was on a pillion of a scooter and someone was driving in the hills. I fell down. I had backache and I had to lie down on the bed for 7 weeks. And I didn't inform Madhuban. So then Dadiji wrote me letter, just lovingly telling me that I should have informed Madhuban. And this is a way that you have now the opportunity to practice more of meditation and become more empowered and clear your karmic account. So sicknesses, they do come to us. They are an opportunity to look within and maybe progress further. They should be taken as a kind of fleeting things because they pass away. So there should be no fear of sickness, but we should have a healthy lifestyle and a health style which promotes health. The other thing is, cancer is something which scares everyone. You know, cancer is one illness. The first question is, why me? Why in all the people, why should I suffer from cancer? So there are certain illnesses for which we have no exact cause. Cancer is one of these sicknesses where you cannot say that this has happened because of this or because of that. There are known risk factors, but it's not necessarily that people who have risk factors, they would have cancer. But then we have to accept that there are certain diseases which occur to us because of maybe we have played the full cycle and we have passed through all the stages in the world cycle. So it does happen to Brahmins. Sometimes we feel that why to me, why this happens to me. So once we know that diseases have to be managed properly, we don't need to neglect them. We should seek assistance, we should seek expert advice and take care of the sickness. Only thing we need to be sure that we are in the best hands. And once we are in the best hands and we have this Baba's knowledge with us, I think we can manage anything. We should not have any fear of any sickness or death or anything, because we know this is something which is natural. This body has to go through the cycle of change as part of the physiology.
Thank you. Another question has a relation with sleep. Yes? Good question. What do you think? So how many of you feel that you sleep well? Sleep well, very nicely. And you don't listen your alarm clock? So the question says, sleep well. You know, good sleep has a sign, and that we understand through dreams. So this is the question to Dr. Nikhil. Dreams occur often in sleep. How to become free from dreams?
You know, the sleep scientists or the psychologists and psychiatrists have written very big scriptures on physiology and psychology of sleep and dreams. Sigmund Freud, the father of psychiatry himself, has written a book on dreams, psychology of dreams, you know. One should know the exact physiology of sleep before you want to get rid of dreams. You should be aware of the sleep cycles that we have every night when we sleep. On an average, we have 90 minutes of sleep cycles which keep on repeating. The initial part of sleep, which we call deep sleep, non-REM sleep, does not contain any dream. The later part of the 90-minute cycle, initially it's just about 15 to 20 minutes, the first cycle. The second cycle, it's about 30 minutes or so, 35 minutes. The third cycle, the period of dream increases in each cycle. So when we get up in the morning, we tend to have more dreams in the last cycle. And we probably tend to remember the dreams while we wake up in the morning. Nobody in this world is devoid of dreams. Please accept that. Everybody dreams. It's only some remember it while they wake up. And it's some others who don't remember it. Nobody can be devoid of dreams. But yes, you can have good dreams. Good, refreshing, entertaining dreams. Now, it's up to you which dreams you entertain and which you don't. But yes, someone who has got normal pattern of sleep has got good, entertaining dreams, and especially does not have any frightening dreams. One can have frightening dreams once in a while, but not most of the days in a week or most of the days in a month. If you continue having frightening dreams, it's considered to be a sleep illness. Then I would advise to consult a psychiatrist.
Means,
There are about 40 to 50 sleep related illnesses. Somebody sleeps very late, he goes to bed at 10 o'clock, falls asleep at around 12 midnight or after 12 midnight. This is one illness. Somebody wakes up in between. This is another illness. Somebody sleeps somebody sleeps in time but wakes up too early, even before Amrit Vela, especially the Brahmins, and then doesn't fall asleep again, despite his or her best efforts to fall asleep again. Somebody sleeps well, sleeps whole night, but does not have sound, refreshing sleep. It's all dreams and dreams, even with his slightest noise or sound, wakes up in between. Somebody sees different frightening dreams. These are all different sleep illnesses I'm talking about. One of them is snoring.
how many of you
It's-
snore? Do you listen? Do you
It's
hear?
known as perverted sleep disorder. You know, snoring. Yeah, there are many causes of snoring. But the common causes I must mention.
But first,
somebody who is.
can I interrupt you? Sorry.
Yeah, sure.
But is it a sickness?
It is if somebody snores almost every day.
Okay, now you get.
Yeah. And it's a treatable illness, fortunately. So nothing to worry about. If you have done a lot of overexertion in a day, you may have a tendency to snore, number one. If you are obese, if you are overweight, you may snore. If you have some nose problem like deviated nasal septum we call, or some respiratory problem, you may snore. If you have some problem in your bronchi, the respiratory tract, then also you have a tendency to snore. It's better you consult your physician if you have continuous snoring.
Thank you very much.
There was one gentleman, he said, I have conquered sleep. And he said, I can sleep at any time of the day, any given opportunity.
Yes, I think many of us are like such gentlemen and ladies. Yes. So, of course, there are some related questions, but I think I should address it to Dr. Pratap. When one has never experienced a love in any way, how can that person give love to others?
Well, as I was sharing in the morning, that we have to make the beginning. If we start giving love, respect, cooperation to others, I think it will come back to us. Someone has to make the beginning. It is a very normal question. We as Brahmins, when we receive love from Baba, we have plenty of love. But in the Lokik world, there are some people who feel that they have not been cared for, they have remained just like that. So in their life, I think some beginning has to be made. Then they might require psychological support in the beginning, but later on when they realize that it is natural to be loving, it's not something unnatural. It's a natural instinct within us that we need to be loved and we need to love others also. But only thing is, we as Brahmins do understand that when we love without any motive, when it is not a selfish love, then probably enjoy it more better. Once it takes when you are attached to someone, and then you feel that you don't get back the same kind of love which you are offering to others, then we need to check that whether it is attachment or it is pure love. So some beginning has to be made, some insight would come to us. It's not necessarily that someone should give us love, but if we start giving love to others, love would definitely come back to us. And as we are the master bestowers, Baba has given us the title, and we are ancestors, worship worthy. For us to give love should not be difficult.
And you want to comment over?
I'm wondering who asked this question, because Baba every morning gives us so much love. We all receive so much love. So I was just saying that we probably don't see it. So please read the Murli again yourself and see how much love Baba gives us.
Okay, one question is again, I think, to both of the doctors, that sometime at the BK's service places, there are regular students or newcomers, those who don't have a clearly emerged mental sickness, not having some physical symptoms all the time. But from time to time, depending upon the season or certain circumstances, these signs emerge. And then their inclination towards service increases many more times towards Murli, and sometimes they would keep ringing at the centers and not thinking of going to home, thinking of becoming Karmatit same day, which shows that something imbalanced is taking place. At the time, there is conflict in the mind of certain BKs. Some think that this soul should be allowed to be here and carry on, and some think that it is better to stop for this person to meditate for some time or to listen, because that's exactly what is influencing. So as a psychiatrist, what is your opinion?
Yeah, it's a good question, and one should have very clear understanding about it. There are certain severe psychiatric illnesses, we call it psychosis, maybe schizophrenia or mania. These days it's also known as manic depressive psychosis or bipolar disorder. These are very severe psychiatric illnesses in which meditation per se doesn't have any direct role to play. These kind of patients do require treatment from psychiatrists. They need medicines, they probably need hospitalization also. Once they are treated with the help of medicines and psychotherapy from psychiatrists, and they have reasonably good improvement in their health, mental health, then probably they can come to the center and start learning meditation or start practicing meditation again. As far as less severe psychiatric illnesses are concerned, what we call neurotic illnesses or sleep-related illnesses or personality disorders, meditation and spirituality are rather helpful to get rid of this kind of problems. But at the same time, if one wants to recover very fast, should definitely take psychiatric treatment along with practicing meditation. But you should have very clear understanding that if somebody has very gross abnormal behavior, is a problem to himself or herself, is a problem for others at the center or in the family, definitely needs psychiatric treatment. No amount of counseling would help that patient.
Here sometime it can be confused with that this is the sanskar of that person. For example, some BK may not consider it a sickness, yes, which needs medical interference, and they keep on thinking this is sanskar and it may leave after some time, so we should be merciful and we should not say this person. So what do you think about that?
Yeah, definitely. We in our spiritual terminology label the personality or personality traits as sanskars, but in Laukic medical terminology, we call it personality or personality traits. And if they are grossly abnormal, which is a problem for the person himself, it's a problem for others, one should definitely advise that particular person to consult a psychiatrist, take appropriate treatment. As far as possible, he or she should not over-involve in spirituality. At the same time, he or she should not neglect spirituality altogether. It's also true that some souls leave Gyan when they start suffering from a psychiatric illness. But at the same time, you should be aware of certain positive gains of spirituality. Somebody who is a believer in God, somebody who remembers God, somebody who meditates regularly, has got very good immunity. He recovers very fast, whether it's a physical illness or a psychiatric illness. So it's a very well-maintained balance between Lockic and alaukic life, spirituality and psychology or psychiatry, you may say. But one should have a very good balance to have complete recovery.
Do you have anything to add, Dr. Pratap? Okay, now next question is to you. I think just one before last. You want to add?
In this question, would you like to give some suggestion to such people, for example, who have such problems time and again? Because what I have observed that there are some people who begin to understand themselves, and the moment they feel that they are not actually healthy, so they would say that for the time being we will not come at the center and we will take treatment and rest and so on. But there are some, as was said, become rather more active and aggressive, and even if you want them to take rest, they don't want, you see. And so what would be your suggestion in this case?
See, this kind of students or this kind of souls who have frank psychiatric illnesses, and if they are the minor illnesses, as I told you earlier, if they are, say, illnesses like depression or anxiety disorder or phobia or insomnia or any psychosomatic problem, it's good. One can come to the center, get involved in seva, service, do meditation, no problem. But he or she should definitely look after the Lockic job or service that he or she is doing. Because if Lockic and alaukic duties are not looked after very well, someone tries to get over-involved at the center, or, as I told you, someone who tries to neglect center altogether and leaves the hand of Baba or the Brahmin family, both have detrimental effects. So one needs to have a very delicate balance that has to be judged according to the situation of a particular soul. Now, the circumstances and situations of each soul are different, and accordingly we must advise them to follow Srimad or Maryadas or disciplines that we teach them.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much. Another question is, in fact, for which we are all little or more concerned, and therefore I am addressing it to Dr. Pratap. My Lockic family members are cooperative souls, but my son keeps telling that I am obsessed in this meditation. Obsessed, sorry, because I follow Baba's Shrimad and Maryadas very strictly. How should I answer?
See, we live in this world. We have to be practical. If particularly in this situation, when you, as a mother, you have some responsibility towards your family, towards your children. So we need to strike a balance. And what Baba tells us, that it is not necessary that all the time we should have sitting meditation. We can have meditative attitude throughout the day. We can have that kind of consciousness, but at the same time we can do our fulfill our Lockic responsibilities also. It's only when we neglect Lockic responsibilities or we don't respect others' feelings I'll share with you one example. When I was studying medicine, the first year when I went to the medical college, it was very difficult for me to accept people eating the non-vegetarian food on the same table with me. It was very difficult. So many times I would go to the dining hall and come back to my room. But then I had to practical. I went to my cooks, gave them the basic briefings, then I was able to get a solution for me. But then it wasn't allowed that I could take food to my room. So I had to sit in one corner of the dining hall and eat. And initially what used to happen, because of our discipline, anyone who would come to my room, the moment he would sit on my bed, I would change my bed sheet. So it's basically we need to be practical. But then later on I realized that I wasn't respecting others' feelings. So we need to respect, particularly when in the family some people are not in knowledge, and I am a Pakka Brahman and I am following Shrimat, but at the same time I have to respect others' feelings also, and I need to be alive to my own responsibilities also. As a father, as a mother, as a husband, I might have responsibilities to look after. I cannot neglect that. So we need to strike a balance between that. We need to be loving, but we need to be firm in following our discipline, such as food, such as Amrit Vela, such as, but at the same time, we need to be cautious. As a doctor, we know it may be Amrit Vela or it may be Murli class. If we are required in the hospital, we have to sometimes definitely respond to the call of our patients. We need to miss many things to fulfill to our Lokik responsibilities.
The last question in my list is there now, but is there anyone before that would like to ask? I couldn't find time to give the questions in advance. Yes, sister? Can you yourself come quickly? Is there anyone else? Okay, just let it be the last one from your side, and then I will read this. Please take my case.
There are two questions here. How can a Brahmin help or live with someone who has an addiction problem as cocaine or alcoholism? Should we go away? What should we do? And the next one is, how can we have a balance in the character if we are going through the menopause?
And the question is related to actually it was put this morning, that sometimes we have waves of sadness. And you replied about anxiety. And you gave a very extensive and deep response on when we are anxious, but actually you didn't reply on sadness. And sometimes we do have these waves, maybe once a month or like cyclic, no? They come, these waves of sadness. So, and sometimes it's hard to control why they are coming, because it's not that we are doing anything wrong, or like even myself, I'm generally very happy, and all of a sudden this wave of sadness comes, and there is no specific reason, because I feel very fortunate and happy. So I think it would be good to reply a little bit more about this question.
So
Probably it's going to be traffic control now, 9:30?
no, here no. In
No?
other
Okay.
seminar rooms.
Yeah, then there are basically 3 questions. Yeah, let me start answering to the last question that the sister has raised. See, we live in the most tamo-pradhan body, the vehicle. And this particular body has got some unhealthy genes. All of you are aware that it's equally important to have good soil for a seed to grow. Seed and soil, both are important. Let's consider soul as a seed and the body as the soil. Now, this particular body has got many abnormal genes. Many of us have inherited the genes of either diabetes or high blood pressure or heart disease, or any psychiatric illness like schizophrenia or depression or anxiety, we are still not aware of our own genes, whether we have inherited those genes, until and unless we get our genome done. Now, these days, the genomes have come up, like you get your horoscope get done from the astrologer, you get your genoscope done from the genetic scientists, and you come to know which abnormal genes you have inherited. Your clan, Lokic clan, might have some genes of depression. And that may be one of the reasons why you have a wave of depression. But at the same time, you should be aware of normal depression, what we call day-to-day depression, and abnormal clinical depression. When I was talking about depression in the morning, I was referring to the illness of depression. And it means that someone who experiences sad mood almost the whole day for at least more than 2 days, or maybe up to 2 weeks, is considered an illness of depression. This is the, a kind of a bottom line that the psychiatrists have made. If you experience depression for 1 hour or 2 hours in a day, it's not an illness. It's a normal, natural feeling. It's considered to be normal in this Kali Yuga, in this Iron Age, by the psychiatrists. Even up to 2 days, it's considered to be normal. But if it exceeds 2 days, more than 2 days, or if your depression worsens so that you have all ideas of worthlessness, you have a wish to die, or you have a suicidal tendency, then yes, definitely that's an illness, and you must take prompt treatment from a psychiatrist. The sister that has raised 2 questions. Addiction. Yeah?
Here's just one small interruption.
Yeah.
You are a good psychiatrist.
Who says?
For example.
Okay.
And but for example, if someone needs a psychiatrist, and we are sitting from different countries, and majority of the psychiatrists, I think that almost all psychiatrists, they are non-BKs. So the very first thing they say that you have this sadness because you have gone to such kind of life, and if you leave the knowledge and Raj Yoga, you will be happy. So do you want that they should again become confused? Are you recommending this? Or you are recommending they should come to you? What you are recommending?
The bottom line is, as I told earlier, depression which exceeds few days or few weeks, which definitely has an effect on your day-to-day professional life or occupational life or social life or your service at the center. If it impairs your occupational, professional, social performance, then yes, I would recommend to consult a psychiatrist, not necessarily me, any other good psychiatrist. Number 2, what was the other point that you raised?
Number 1 point was that they suggest if you live this way of life.
It's unfortunate that some Western psychiatrists or non-BK psychiatrists recommend not to practice celibacy. I don't know whether you were there in the morning. I clarified this point.
Yes.
Of celibacy, purity. It's a debatable issue in the world. But as I told you in the morning, the father of psychiatry himself recommended to observe celibacy with true understanding. You enjoy very good state of meditation, have all the relations with Baba, and I'm sure you will have all the beneficial effects on your health, whether it's your physical health or mental health. There is no point to be confused by quitting Baba's knowledge, by keeping distance from Baba's family. Just because the non-BK doctor or your family doctor advises you to follow the same Lockic life which you had earlier. unfortunate. I won't recommend that.
Okay, thank you. Very shortly, if Sister Sunita can comment on the question given by the previous sister on menopause, yes?
Most of the sisters come and ask about the menopausal tiredness, and they feel very uncomfortable during that period. Actually, what happens is, if we are not taking a good nutritional diet, then we may have this kind of problem. And during that period, if we take plenty of fresh fruits and vegetables and milk, these three things are very important, because fresh fruits and vegetables give us so many things which can contribute towards the lack of hormones that is going on in the body. So it is very important that we take plenty of fresh fruits and vegetables, especially cabbage, carrots and grapes. They are considered to be very good. And soya. Soya is also considered very good during this period. Shanti.
And finally, if Dr. Pratap can comment shortly on this, what should we do with the people who come with the problem of alcoholism or something, drug addiction? Should we? They are?
The question was that if you have someone in the family who has alcoholism or who's hooked to cocaine or something like that, was the question. See, it depends upon the extent of problem. There are certain amount of alcoholism may be only manageable with counseling, but if the person is willing to give it up. But particularly cocaine or hard drugs, you need to consult a psychiatrist. You need to take a specialist who is dealing with these kind of patients for de-addiction. But at the same time, what has been observed that social support, family support makes all the difference. So the family support is all the more important. Family needs to understand the person very well and need to take care. And probably most of the people, when they resort to alcohol or tobacco or hard drugs, because they're feeling insecure or uncared for in their lives, they take on to these things initially because of that only. So both the medicinal support through an expert and also the social support of the family, friends is very important. And as Nikhil would agree, that after a person has been able to give up this habit, if he is offered meditation or spirituality, then there are more chances, it's more likely that he would stay away from these things for longer duration, or maybe forever. Well, it depends upon what is your responsibility or what is your relationship with the person. You know, it all depends upon, if suppose he's a grown-up person, an adult, a married person, maybe your son, or he can take care of himself, and in spite of your support he's not willing to cooperate, then you might have to leave him. But suppose he needs your help, he needs your support, and with your support he can get rid of that habit, then we should definitely support him and give him that help. And the other thing is, at the most we can do is to take him to the right doctor or the counselor who can help him. That much service we can do. And there, in certain countries there are social securities and there are certain centers which help. You can always take the person to that center and guide him, help him, and whatever best you can do for that particular individual.
Final, last one.
I would like to add one thing here. You know, I did a research study. There are so severe withdrawal symptoms once the person stops taking that particular addictive drug, that those withdrawal symptoms need to be treated by the psychiatrist, particularly by hospitalizing the patient, by admitting the patient in the hospital. During that period of 2 or 3 weeks, initial 2-3 weeks, meditation directly cannot help. But yes, spiritual support and meditation for the relatives of the patient is definitely very useful. And we should not absolutely avoid the patient or patient's relatives to go away from the center or practicing meditation. And once the withdrawal symptoms are over, yes, definitely, then meditation and spiritual lifestyle does help. So one can continue doing practicing meditation afterwards.
Om Shanti. There's a friend of mine who is here. He has, after coming I know him. So he has a question. He is a good BK and his occupation is a taxi driver. He gets up at 2:30 p.m., 2:30 a.m., then go for Amritavela and then come after 5 o'clock. And then, then he takes his vehicle for hiring. Then by 6 a.m., but till that time he don't sleep. Then from 6 a.m., all of a sudden he falls asleep and he has met so many times accident it seems. And he sleeps and night time he go to bed by about 10:30 a.m. Even before becoming a BK, his nature of life was that. From 10:30 a.m. to 10:30 p.m. to 2:30 a.m. he can sleep. After that he can't sleep. But after 6 o'clock a.m. he fall asleep and he has met so many times the accident. Is there any
treatment for that?
Yeah, as I mentioned in the morning, sleep itself is a very big subject. It needs to have a very long session. But in short, I would like to reply to your question. The brother has got this problem. Everybody of us have a very fixed sleep cycle, a diurnal rhythm we call. We have a kind of a biological clock set in our brain, At a fixed time, we have a tendency to fall asleep. Like few of the souls I can see, they have already started dozing off because of that biological clock that is there. If you have observed some of the factory employees who work at night time regularly for months and years together, they will never fall asleep at night time. You put them in absolutely dark rooms, they will never sleep because they have set their biological clock in such a way that they can sleep only during daytime. Their metabolic rate, their energy level is maximum during night time. And they have to get engaged into any work at night time. And they cannot sleep at night time. They can just sleep during daytime. What I'm trying to say is that we have fixed or conditioned our sleep cycles. We, especially BKs, have conditioned ourselves in such a way that we probably tend to sleep by 10 o'clock, 10:30, 11 o'clock, wake up at Amrit Vela, remember Baba. If the quota of sleep is finished, as I said in the morning, everybody of us has got a fixed required quota of sleep. If that is finished, then you won't doze off again. You won't feel asleep even after doing Amrit Vela Yoga. But if your quota is not finished, say for example, many of the brothers and sisters have gone to Baba's Rock today, I'm sure they have over-exertion today as compared to their average exertion in a day. Now you may require probably 1 hour of sleep extra tonight. Or you may require extra sleep tomorrow afternoon. So make sure that you have an extra nap tomorrow afternoon. And if you don't do that, don't finish your quota of sleep, you have a tendency to make accidents, either with Maya or with car on the roads. Okay? Yeah.
Meaning is that these sleep cycles can be interrupted, broken, and with the help of our willpower and Baba's love, we can create a very appropriate routine according to what we need, and that can continue.
Yeah. The very good example in front of us is Badi Dadi, Prakashmani Dadi. I have seen her for years. She has got, very small frequent cycles of sleep. She goes to bed at around 11, 11:30, wakes up at 2:30. Now that's about 3 hours of sleep. Again, after Amrit Vela, around 4:30, 4:45, goes to bed again, has sleep for 1.5 hours, wakes up, takes shower, goes for the class, Murli class, takes breakfast, meets some of the guests, goes to bed again for about 1.5 hours. This broken type of cycle. Now, you can condition yourself according to your professional job. your lucky job. But make sure that the sleep required according to your age is fulfilled. As I told you in the morning, average sleep requirement for an adult is 8 hours, plus or minus 2. Okay? Exception being very old people or the children. Okay?
So let's...
I'm sure what Baba says, be conquerors of sleep, does not mean that you don't sleep at all. What I mean to be conqueror of sleep,
Don't sleep.
you should have a capability to sleep at any time, to fall asleep at any time, and to wake up at any time. Okay? It should be according to your wish. The moment you go to bed, wants to sleep, should fall asleep. And the time which you want to wake up, you must wake up. This is what the conqueror of sleep is. It's not that you are absolutely devoid of sleep.
So it all means that whatever Baba is saying, we have to bring in our dharana and practical life in order to become really healthy in all ways. Am I right? Essence of our 2 sessions is this. So we are very, very thankful to our doctors on behalf of all the global participants from the different parts of the globe. I extend the feeling of thanks to the global hospital doctors, and so that we don't sleep at Amrit Vela. Now we just sit for a moment in Baba's remembrance and then depart. Om Shanti.